All right, then. So that will give us some time to have a good conversation this morning. We're talking all things water, water, water. Yesterday was World Water Day, and this morning we're having reflections on that day, and we're looking at it from the Lagos State dimension. Joining me in the studios this morning, I have Engineer Mahmood Olakunle Adegbite, Permanent Secretary, Office of Drainage Services and Water Resources for the Lagos State Ministry of Environment and Water Resources. Nice to have you in the building, Engineer Adegbite. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Lagos.
And you're welcome to the studios.
Thank you.
All right, joining us on the phone line is Engineer Mukhtar Tijani, who is the Managing Director of the Lagos State Water Corporation. Engineer Tijani, it's nice to have you join us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Good morning, PS.
All right.
Good morning.
Great.
Morning, Lagos.
Great. So I have, when we're talking water in Lagos, the big names that comes to play are the ones that I'm talking with this morning as we reflect on World Water Day. Engineer Adegbite, let's even start. Yesterday was World Water Day, and I know there was a lot of buzz. There was a lot of things that were being talked about. But for those who don't understand the significance of this day, talk to us. How significant is World Water Day?
Thank you very much. Once again, good morning, listeners. World Water Day is a day that is specially designated to recognize the fact that water is life, that we need water, and to let everyone understand what water is. And again, one of the things that I will locally here, what we should use the day for is to make sure that we talked about issue of accessibility, issue of management of water, and safe and affordable water around us, all of us. And that is what we are trying to promote in Lagos. So we will be talking more about the achievements so far, as well as what we are doing to make sure that Lagos has water.
All right. Engineer Tijani, I know you are the man in charge of that, at least trying to ensure that Lagos gets potable water and get access as well. How was it marked right here in Lagos yesterday?
Yes, thank you. I think the whole purpose of the World Water Day is awareness. Is to create awareness from the onset in the early 90s. The reason why March 22nd was designated World Water Day was to create awareness for the depleting resource that we all need direly every day. So, of course, there was a post by the Honorable Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources announcing some of our plans to partner with donors and support organizations for water. And ongoing awareness, we also had a lot of jingles and materials put up on our social media handle, educating people on conserving water and how not to pollute the resource we're speaking about.
Right, which is very, very true. At least we need to have a joint collaboration on all of this. But water is depleting globally. I mean, if you look at the indices that we are getting, I'm seeing figures like 2.1 billion people across the world do not have access to water, Permanent Secretary. That should be a source of concern, because when we're talking about this 2.1 billion, Nigerians are going to be inclusive as well. Is that correct?
Of course, we are part of the world. And one thing, just as you said, the water is fast depleting. And then in this part of the world, we are not actually managing water as we should. Let's go back to issues of what we are also doing in order to create awareness among our people. Yesterday, as the MD mentioned, there were a lot of sensitization. But in addition to that, tomorrow, there's going to be a legislative work tomorrow from the Lagos House of Assembly down to LASEPA, to MOE, and we hope to receive those that will join them at the Ministry of Environment.
Oh.
Also,
this is part of the awareness we're talking about, right?
Yes, to make sure that people are aware. Also, there will be the water team project will be launched tomorrow as well in Ikeja, where we are hoping to start further rehabilitation of major water works. So those are things that are also lined up for the celebration of World Water Day.
Right.
Now, coming to the issue of water. One thing is that water is such a phenomenon that too much of it is a problem, too little of it
is also a problem. Yes.
So you need to strike the balance. If you have too much, that's when you have flood. If you have too little, that's where you have drought. So we must make sure that we strike the balance and try as much as possible to let our citizens be aware of how to make water, respect water in such a way that we use it meaningfully. Because again, our aim is to make sure that we create a resilient infrastructure to address water scarcity in the city.
Anyway, we'll still talk about that really as the program moves on. But Engineer Adegbite, isn't it an irony that the world today, 70% consists of water, and yet the world is still struggling to have good water to drink? Is that not an irony?
It is an irony. Of course, you know that the 70% that we are talking about, most of them are locked in the ocean. Most of them are locked underground. So, again, the idea that we must now find some innovative way to unlock these possibilities and make sure. Let's come back to the states. Most of our water resources are locked within the lagoon, the ocean, and most of the wetlands that we are building on. So we need to create that awareness to let people know that we have to protect all the resource. We need to protect the areas where the water is coming from. And that is what we are doing at the ministry, to make sure that the sources are well protected, and we let people be aware of what they are doing to make sure that we reduce pollution and all other things.
Which is a very major challenge. All right,
Yes.
let's get to Engineer Tijani this morning. What's the current state of water supply and access in Lagos as we speak today? What's the current state of water supply?
Yes, so water supply in Lagos State, we produce water through our major and our micro and mini treatment plants. The major treatment plants, I think the larger ones and the more popular ones are Iju and Adiyon. Iju is 45 million gallons per day water treatment plant, and Adiyon is 70 million gallons per day.
Okay.
And then we have about 48 smaller ones that we call the micro and mini treatment plants, all ranging between 1 and 3 million gallons per day.
Right.
And all this water is, the total capacity installed is about 245 million gallons per day. And this water is recirculated around the state through large diameter pipes up until they cascade down into the smaller service pipes that enter our homes and businesses.
All right.
The coverage is much below 50%. You can imagine a state like Lagos with close to 25 million people. It's a race against the clock to be able to ensure access to potable water as the population and infrastructure is growing.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah,
let's talk about that really, because so you just mentioned 245 million gallons, right? That's on a daily basis. Is that correct?
That's what we have installed. That's what we have installed.
Okay, that's installed capacity. So let's look at now. So we have a population of about 25 million people. So what is the level of water supply that will adequately meet the needs of this surging population?
So if you go by the expected optimal standard set by the World Health Organization, so every individual needs between 80 and 100 liters per day of water for consumption and domestic use, bathing, brushing, washing of clothes, etc. And if you go by that, and the population of Lagos would need about double what is installed. So we need about 500 to 600 million gallons per day to service the populace of Lagos. So as it is today, we need to double our installed capacity to be able to meet demand. And like I said earlier, that demand is growing, almost faster than we are able to build behind it.
Right. We'll talk more about those projects that you guys are coming up with. But my PS, Engineer Adegbite, let's reflect a bit on the infrastructure for water provision in Lagos. Where are we? Do we have it in full throttle, or how far have we gone in that regard?
Thank you. One of the very first things that we realized, because just as the MD outlined the install capacity versus the expected capacity, we realized that government cannot do it alone.
Okay.
So what the very first thing we did was to bring up the wash policy, which is meant to also one of the 7 smarter area that we feel that we need is to make sure that the wash policy address pro-innovation, also address business awareness so that private sectors can also come into that space. Because we, just as I said, we know that government cannot do it alone, so we want to encourage the private sector to come into that. So again, talking about the infrastructure within the states, these are things that are meant to just address the supply of the install capacity, which is about 50% of what is needed.
Okay.
So we need to now grow. And one thing we should also realize that the population of Lagos is growing by the day. So your expected water demand for today, in another 1 month, you need to also scale it up. So we just have to make sure that we involve all parties, we involve all stakeholders to ensure that we provide adequate infrastructure. But for Lagos, what we have will adequately address the present population
that we have at the moment.
Yes, if we are able to just get additional, or rather expand our water resource to address
the growing needs.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about some of these structures which you just mentioned. Engineer Tijani, let's get back to you. You mentioned Adiyan Water Works, right? And Iju Water Works as well. These are names we grew up with in Lagos. A lot of people might not know where they are and how they are proposed in terms of service. So take us on an excursion, really. Give us an understanding of the water distribution structure in Lagos. Where is the Adiyan Water Works? Which areas does it serve? Give us that excursion.
Okay, thank you. Again, I will start with Iju. Maybe it might be easier from a chronological perspective. Iju was built and commissioned very early in the last century, in 1905. And the purpose was to serve the island, Ikoyi, the low-lying areas of Lagos. And that was positioned there from a vantage point of the topography. So that was the best location close to a freshwater resource, the Ogun River. And treating the water right by the river all the way down to serve the island. That was the purpose of Iju. Iju has undergone several expansions since then, up until 1975, that it became 45 million gallons. So Iju primarily was built, like I said, to serve the island. But over the years, the distribution network has been expanded to also serve a lot of areas on the mainland, particularly Surulere, Ebute Metta, and Yaba. Now, Adiyan came online in 1991. Adiyan is about double the size of Iju. Adiyan is 70 million gallons per day. Adiyan also abstracts his water from the same source, the Ogun River, and it's treated. And in the northern part of Lagos, both of them are located at the border of Lagos and Ogun State. Just to kind of give you a geographical perspective.
Right.
And that is because of the low-lying nature of Lagos State. So if you position your water source at the highest point, it just goes down to other parts by gravity. It is more economical from a pumping cost perspective.
Right.
So Adiyan, like I said, Adiyan also serves areas around Adiyan, which is Ifakoijai, Agege local government, down through Bagada, Oworonshoki, Ogudu, Antoni. And Adiyan also meets up with Iju. The distribution network for Adiyan and Iju, they meet up at 2 main locations, one at Antoni, and the second one, Kauri Bridge, close to Oyingbo, also serving the island. Those are the 2 main major distribution networks we have. But like I said, we have 48 micro and mini treatment plants almost in every local government in the state.
Okay, which is very interesting. I've learned a lot from that, and I'm just looking at the kind of technology that will be involved in terms of propelling that water all the way from Iju down to the island. realizing that it has to cross the lagoon, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Well, yes, it goes on land actually. It goes through land. It goes mostly through the route Ikorodu Road will take, essentially down to the island.
Island, okay. All right then. I know that a lot is been done really, but let's talk about some of the landmarks now in terms of achievements and the things that the Lagos State government is doing from the policy and program implementation perspective. Engineer Adigbite, what are some of those landmarks?
Okay, the very first thing, just as I mentioned, is the WASH policy, which has a clear regulatory framework sets. It sets long-term outcome goals for the water sector, because water is not a short-term thing that we must. So it sets long-term goals. It also encourages, open the window for private sector participation. We also have in that flexibility in the sense that we look at how to best manage our water resource, integrated measures to achieve efficient goals with well-defined phases. You just mentioned the fact that we are rehabilitating the two major water works, and we have them in phases that this must be completed at this phase, while this has to be completed at this period.
Right.
We are also looking at forward-looking in terms of creating additional water works, which I'm sure the MD will
still expand on.
Okay. So one of the things we are also looking at, the production cost about the same thing, whether in Ikoyi or but we must make sure that...
Does it range? Is it different?
No, that's what I'm saying, that production cost is produced...
Okay, I need you to get closer to that microphone so that we can hear you pretty well.
It's produced in Iju, so it's the same cost for those on the island as well as those. But we must make sure that we address issue of tariff to make sure that we are not necessarily poor, but to ensure that things are done equitably. It is not going to be that it is only the high-end people that can afford water. So water must be affordable, must be at the right quality and at the right quantity.
So where are we in terms of drifting? Because as we speak right now, we still have some homes that do not have that access to portable drinking water, in people's homes, and they have to, do it their own way by having to, dig their own boreholes and the likes. So where are we? Is there any regulation that will stop Lagosians from making use of their own boreholes to say, at this point in time, you have to mandatorily connect to the water being supplied by the government?
Thank you. So what we are doing is to ensure that the infrastructure as well as the accessibility is there. So we are looking at by second quarter next year, then we'll start mandating. The law is already in place. We will also review our laws, but we'll start making sure that once our water passes through your area, you are mandated to make use of that water. Otherwise, you start paying for using borehole. Because again, don't forget that it's also a resource that belongs to everyone.
Right.
So you tapping it within your premises, trying to use it only for yourself, you'll just have to pay. So we will make sure that we have that water, public water within your area. Once that is available, then you just have to tap in.
Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. This morning, we're having reflections on World Water Day, and we're looking at it from the Lagos State dimension. I have Engineer Olakunle Adigbite, who is the Permanent Secretary, Office of Drainage Services and Water Resources from the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources. And Engineer Mukhtar Tijani is the Managing Director of the Lagos State Water Corporation. If you want to join the conversation, feel free to do so. And that's on 080-99-120777. Okay, that's 080-99-120777. And also, you can try 091-5387-7127. We're still monitoring that impediment around Isale Oja within the Agege corridor. We have a broken down truck and another that got hooked just by the side. A tow truck already contacted for its evacuation. Most other areas still receiving with good vehicular flow, but Victoria Island, it's high influx, especially due to alternating points. You have lots of influx within that particular corridor, and we're tracking it minute by minute. All right, some messages streaming in for you. This one says, "Good morning, sirs. What steps are being taken to prevent flooding along the Lekki Aja axis in Lagos?" I do not know how that relates to World Water Day, but Permanent Secretary, you want to respond to that?
Okay, I'm sure once they hear
Water.
Office of Drainage and Water Resources,
Yes.
that's why I said we don't want to really center on flooding. However, I will address that.
All right.
In recent times, you will notice that the state government is rehabilitating the road, and we are also making sure that we open up all the drainage outline around that corridor. We are also expanding the outfalls within that area. So we hope that for this year, we should have less trouble with flooding and also less trouble with traffic.
Is there a master plan for that particular corridor? Are we thinking of another 10, 15 years where the time will come where there will be no need for flooding, no fears for flooding when it rains?
Of course, there's a master plan for the entire Lagos.
Okay.
So we are just implementing them in phases. So that is basically what we are doing.
All right.
One of the critical areas that I know that we are facing some challenges is the Kushenla area, which Ikate, around this big church that have that issue. So we are also introducing, because again, everywhere there is low lying, and then the lagoon is, of course, there's no way we'll talk about flooding in Lagos that will not talk about
the lagoon itself.
the lagoon itself,
All
as
right.
well as the climate change.
Lots
So
of reactions coming in quickly. Let's take some more.
we are definitely also introducing pumping station around that.
Oh,
So
that would be very, very good. This one says, please, Engineer Adegbite, how can residents report water issues in their area? BE is sending this warning. And I think this one should go to Engineer Tijani rather than the PS.
no, let me
Okay, you want to address that?
because there is a water regulatory commission
Okay.
that addresses issue of water challenges, because Engineer Tijani will also address it, but you can reach out, which I will provide the phone number before we leave. You can reach out to that commission. They will address
those kind of
those
issues.
challenges.
All right, Engineer Tijani, even though while you are responding to that as well, I know you guys have been embarking on some milestones of some kind of installations across some areas in Lagos. Talk to us.
Yeah, so maybe let me start with the question first, because any opportunity to reach out to the customers and let them know how to get our audience is always welcome, because we do get a lot of calls from people every day telling us about leaks in their areas and even some complaints about service delivery. So we have phone numbers which I will share with you.
Right.
I can't read everything on the phone. It's maybe mundane, but I'll just say one of them, 0704 597 3012. There are four of them. We can share that and you help us disseminate it later.
Now let's take that again.
We're
That's
very active on social media.
0045 97
973.
3012.
Yes.
Okay, that's
We're
070
very active on. Go ahead.
07045973012. The likes of BE.
Correct.
Those are the numbers that you need to call if you have any leakage in your area.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And like I said, lines are very active. We get a lot of calls. We get a lot of feedback. We track it. We review it every week and try to improve our service delivery. So I want to thank everyone that makes use of those lines.
Right.
We're really active on social media also, across all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and all the likes on Lagos Water. If you go to Lagos Water, you can reach out to us. You can send us a message. And what I really encourage, what I like, is when they do a short video, maybe geotag it, so we know exactly where the complaint is coming from, if it's a leak, if it's a service delivery complaint, or whatever it may be. So try as much as possible to give us information on the location of what the complaint is about.
Right.
That would be very, very welcome from our team.
All right, so quickly
As
talk
for
about
infrastructure.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So for the infrastructure, distribution in particular, like you mentioned, we are doing two major things. The first one we're doing, we're expanding the network. So there are about 4 areas right now that we have ongoing pipeline expansion. Magodo, in Magodo Estate, we've been working very closely with the Residents Association. They've been very supportive. in allowing us replace some of the broken pipes and also extend it to areas that were not receiving water in the past. In Ikoyi, in Parkview area, from Alexander, from our waterworks at Alexander, we're running extensions to the new customers all over Queens Drive and the lights and the streets around that area, Body Lawn, etc. Abeson in Ipaja, Barua, we've already connected new customers there, and we are receiving new customers every day. People sign up every day to receive our services, amongst others. We have other areas also that we're doing extension. Right. Now, for our, we're also doing a lot of monitoring, right? We are geotagging our trunk mains and other pipes, so we have an ongoing digitization exercise going, so we know exactly where our pipes are. Okay. Like I said earlier, developments in Lagos State by road, rail, and other infrastructure is ongoing. Okay. So we normally get requests from our agencies and some private sector looking to do some developments where our pipes are. So we are able to show them digitally exactly where the pipes are. Right. So we have a map that even the complaints that we get now from the customers, we go back to that map and locate it. So we can just suppose it on the other previous complaints to see if they are, the same one we're getting or it's a new complaint. So There's a lot going on, both from a technology perspective and boots on the ground perspective.
All right, then 08099120777. Gradually winding to the end of the program, but you can still put your calls through if you have any questions you want to bring to the PS and of course the MD. Feel free as to reflect on the World Water Day. This one says, good morning. I stay in Lekki and we spend so much on water tankers. Every weekend. Says, what is the government doing for areas like Lekki that don't get pipe-borne water? Rita is sending this one in. MD, you need to respond to that as well.
Okay. Yes, sure. So Lekki, what part of Lekki? We have a waterworks in Lekki on Hakim Dixon that serves, in fact, it's one of our biggest commercial centers. We get a lot of activity from that waterworks. We have a lot of customers that are very engaging. So maybe if we know exactly, like I said, where that customer is located, we can look and see why the reason she's not getting water. It could mean we need to extend the network to her, or we need to fix the line that was serving her previously. Okay. I would like to add, we are also, like the permanent secretary mentioned earlier, we also are doing a lot of engagement and collaboration with the private sector. Okay. We have a PPP effort now, and Lekki is one of the beneficiaries of that program. So we're expecting, once that is concluded next quarter, hopefully before the end of the third quarter, you will see a lot of investments coming to our Lekki plant to expand it, to improve its production, and also a lot of customer service drives will be done to engage new customers in Lekki.
Okay, there are more reactions coming in for both of you. This one says, good morning, Engineer Tijani. Sometimes our tap water smells. What causes that? Bayo is sending this one in. Bayo didn't tell me your location. But yes. MD?
Several reasons why your tap water could be smelling. Sometimes there's intrusion. If there's intrusion into our supply from possibly a breakage in the pipe and other contaminants enter it could be that reason why the tap water is smelling. And treatment also. But we test our water before it leaves the plant. Okay. So it's unlikely you would have that problem if you're getting water from Water Corporation. We test it before it leaves the plant. And we also have a team that goes around to customers' ends and test the water at that end also periodically. So please, again, like I said, we need all the information. Share your location, send it to our numbers. We have WhatsApp on those, the numbers I will share, the one I shared earlier also.
All right.
Share with us and we'll be there. And like the PS mentioned, there's also a regulator in the sector.
All right.
That can also support with similar complaints.
And even as we gradually wind to the end.
Maybe I can just add to that as well.
Right.
Unfortunately, just as the MD mentioned, the location of that individual is not mentioned. But usually, what people do, which we must now discourage people from doing, is passing their pipes through the drains. And we all know what our drains, again, that's another lecture, or rather that's another talk for another day.
Yes.
People pass through that drain and it gets to their houses. It runs through those if runs through the drain, you have a lot of things inside the drain.
That's right.
Which shouldn't be. So that might also add to why that water is smelling. So.
All right, let's run this off right now. Permanent Secretary, what roles do you think citizens can play in conserving water resources and, of course, what we have at the moment? And I just need you to respond to this in 30 seconds. What roles?
Okay, essentially, we will be, just as I mentioned much earlier, the regulatory agency will be going around the state to educate citizens on their roles as well as what we expect them to do. But basically, is to just not waste the precious resource that we have, to conserve the water in a very reasonable manner.
And Engineer Tijani, as we round off, what's your message to the listening public? And of course, how can they plug into what you're doing to ensure that the limited water resources we have can serve us better?
Yeah, thank you so much. In the spirit of World Water Day, I think our advice to Lagosians, join the conservation efforts, by reducing wastage and promoting efficient use of water. Please reduce borehole proliferation. It affects the aquifer negatively. Defray from contamination of the water resources, by busting pipes or stuff like that. And finally, please educate more people. Join the advocacy. Teach people how to conserve water and how so the scarce resource can last us all
right
a longer time. Okay,
then we'll leave it at that for now. Like he did say, you can always connect with the Lagos State Water Corporation by dialing the number 070-4597-3012. That's 070-4597-3012. Permanent Secretary, nice having you in the building. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
And Engineer Tijani, is a thing of joy. We hope to have you in the studio very, very soon. But thank you for linking up with us today.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is mine.
Okay, then. So that's how far we go. We've had reflections on World Water Day, the Lagos State dimension. And I'm going to tell you, Engineer Mahmood Olakunle Adegbite, who is Permanent Secretary, Office of Drainage Services and Water Resources, has taken us on this excursion. Same for Engineer Mukhtar Tijani, who's the Managing Director of the Lagos State Water Corporation. Maximum shout out going out to Akan Hussein, who has produced the program this morning. I say a big thank you to Kunle Adeshino, Director of Public Affairs for the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources. Let me also appreciate Kehinde Fashola, who is, of course, the Director of Public Affairs for the Lagos State Water Corporation. Remi Aluko is of our social media unit, and our executive producer is Tayo Akonle. My name is Victor Oteri. Have a great day. Bye.